girlies, welcome to my channel. My name is Laura and today we're going to be talking about Elizabeth Taylor and Zsa Zsa Gabor to find out who was married more and have a look at all of their husbands over the years. And thank you Tape Reel for sponsoring this video. Tape Reel is a new algorithm-free social platform for iOS where you can connect meaningfully and share your authentic self with the world. With Tape Reel, you can make money by selling access to your exclusive video content. Tape Reel is algorithm-free, so you can focus on your art and creativity instead of trying to crack the algorithms. Tape Reel can grow your audience faster with a boosted profile and also drives traffic to your web channel on tapereel.com. And stop worrying about algorithms and download Tape Reel today. And this is located in my description box and my pinned comments. So thank you so much Tape Reel for sponsoring this post. So let's jump right in and talk about Elizabeth Taylor and Zsa Zsa Gabor and have a look at all of their marriages throughout their life. So I'm always so shocked about these old Hollywood movie stars and even movie stars today that get married so many times, like even Pamela Anderson. And I'm wondering, like, why don't you just date the person instead of getting married every time you get romantic with someone? And I don't really blame Elizabeth Taylor for getting herself into so many romantic relationships given her stunning violet eyes and good personality. Elizabeth Taylor never gave up on hunting for love, whether it was her first marriage, which lasted less than a year, or with her surprise choice for husband number 8. After going down the aisle together twice and receiving a massive engagement diamond from him, Elizabeth's relationship with Richard Burton may be her most famous romance, but each of her husbands had their own fascinating love story. Taylor, for example, was involved in a controversial love triangle just before Burton, following a painful loss. Clearly, her real life was just as dramatic, exciting, tragic, and happy as the characters she depicted on film. And her first marriage was to Conrad Nicky Hilton Jr., Elizabeth's image of married happiness when she entered the marriage. And her second husband was Michael Wilding. Taylor did not take long to recover from her previous marriage. In 1952, she married Michael Wilding, an English actor. Michael Jr., born in 1953, and Christopher, born in 1955, were their 2 sons. According to legend, Wilding became envious of Elizabeth Taylor's stardom, which led to the couple's divorce in 1957. And her next husband was Mike Todd, and Elizabeth Taylor married her third husband, movie producer Mike Todd, in 1957 because she couldn't stand being alone for long. Liza, the couple's only child, was born the same year. Todd was tragically killed in a plane crash a year later in 1958. So maybe if he didn't die in the plane crash, she would have been still married to him. You never know, I guess. And her next husband is Eddie Fisher, and he is a well-known actor. Taylor married Eddie Fisher in Las Vegas in 1959 while still grieving the loss of Todd as a source of consolation following her husband's death. But the marriage sparked controversy, with the singer abandoning his wife, actress Debbie Reynolds, who was also a friend of Elizabeth Taylor. The couple separated in 1964, but the two actresses were eventually able to reconcile their differences. And that's crazy that he abandoned his wife, Debbie Reynolds. And her next husband was Richard Burton. After falling in love with her Cleopatra co-star Richard Burton, Taylor said goodbye to Eddie Fisher. Burton also adopted Elizabeth Taylor's daughter, Liza. The two had a notoriously intense relationship that had its ups and downs. In 1974, Taylor and Burton divorced. Fans, on the other hand, know that their love story is far from over. And she ended up getting married again to Richard Burton. Liz and Richard remarried in 1975 after initially calling it quits in 1974. However, this second marriage did not last long. They divorced the second time less than a year later. Her next husband was John Warner. Following Burton as her 5th and 6th husbands, John Warner became the 7th husband. In 1976, a Republican politician from Virginia was requested to accompany Elizabeth Taylor to a meal thrown by Queen Elizabeth at the British Embassy in Washington, D.C. That night, sparks flew between them and the two said I do the following year. Elizabeth's Broadway and London playing performances, as well as Warner's political career in DC, forced the pair to grow apart, and they divorced in 1982 but still remained friends. Her next husband was Larry Fortensky. Taylor's 8th and final spouse, Larry Fortensky, a construction worker 20 years her junior, was the most startling of all her marriages. They met in odd circumstances at the Betty Ford Clinic where they were both checking in. And this seems crazy to me. I mean, maybe she just wasn't in like the right headspace, but like what are the odds of just being someone quite normal, 20 years younger, meeting Elizabeth Taylor at the Betty Ford Clinic? The couple married in 1991 at Michael Jackson's Neverland Ranch after supporting each other's rehabilitation. It seems like a disaster waiting to happen, in my opinion. Larry subsequently stated that being in the spotlight all the time was difficult for him and that put a strain on the relationship. They broke up in 1996, yet like Warner, they always maintained a good relationship. Elizabeth Taylor's vast list of marriages, of course, pales in comparison to her even long list of iconic films and stage performances, but there's no denying she enjoyed a good challenge. Remember the huge sparkler she used to flaunt from her 5th and 6th husband? To me, the most memorable one is Richard Burton, just because of all the diamonds and jewels that he bought for her, like that massive necklace. And now let's move on to Zsa Zsa Gabor, and she was actually married more times than Elizabeth Taylor, which is shocking to me. I don't know too much about her, but I was really curious to research and learn more because she was kind of considered one of the first socialites, almost like the vintage version of Kim Kardashian. Zsa Zsa Gabor was born in Budapest, Hungary in 1917 to Jolie Gabor and Soldier Vilmos Gabor. Her siblings were socialite Magda Gabor and actress Eva Gabor, and she was named after Hungarian actress Sari Fedak. Both of the star's parents came from Jewish homes. In the 1930s, she attended a Swiss boarding school before following her sister Eva to Hollywood. Zsa Zsa was a beautiful blonde-haired actress who first appeared on television in a series and then in a few films. Her debut film performance was in Lovely to Look At, which was released in 1952. She also co-starred with Ginger Rogers in the comedy We're Not Married at 20th Century Fox. Her major break came the next year when she starred in Moulin Rouge. The 1950s were Zsa Zsa's most productive film years. Miss Hungary was a hopeless romantic at heart, having married so many times over her life that she even wrote a book about serial romance. After 5 marriages, she authored How to Catch a Man, How to Keep a Man, and How to Get Rid of a Man in 1970. Zsa Zsa went on to marry 3 more times, breaking many engagements along the way, and having one wedding deemed illegal due to a pending divorce. The Hollywood leading lady arrived in the United States on June 20th, 1940. She was married to Burhan Belgi, a Turkish ambassador at the time, and intended to spend 4 months at her younger sister Eva's Beverly Hills house. Zsa Zsa remarried a wealthy hotel mogul, Conrad N. Hilton, in New Mexico on April 11, 1942, after her marriage to Belgi was annulled. He was 55 years old and she was in her 20s when they met. She was awarded a divorce from Hilton, with whom she had a daughter, Francesca, on September 17, 1946. She was the couple's only child. The celebrity then announced her engagement to British actor George Sanders on April 1, 1949. The following day, the couple married in Las Vegas. She was married for the 3rd time, and Sanders was married for the 2nd time. Their newfound love, however, was short-lived as fractures in the marriage began to show on November 2nd, 1953. Sanders filed for divorce shortly after, citing mental cruelty as a reason. During his days-long marriage to Harris Barba Hutton, Zsa Zsa denied being romantically related to a Dominican diplomat, Porfirio Ruby Rosa. On March 18, 1954, Ruby Rosa had previously had an affair with Zsa Zsa, who told the New York Times. She ultimately got the final decree from Sanders on April 6, 1955, despite previously rejecting her relationship with Ruby Rosa. The two agreed to marry. In the meantime, Zsa Zsa's mother, Jolie, married her 3rd husband on March 3, 1957. Zsa Zsa hinted on January 8, 1959 that she would marry affluent LA contractor Hal B. Hayes. The former lovers had intended to marry in 1956, but the event never took place. Despite this, Zsa Zsa married her 4th husband, entrepreneur Herbert L. Hunter, on November 5, 1962, declaring that she would ensure their marriage would last, she stated. She says, "I'm going to put in a lot of effort to make it last." Hunter was the chairman of the board of directors of Harrison, New York-based Struthers Wells Corp. It was his 2nd marriage, and despite Zsa Zsa's assurances that it would be her last, they split without a hitch less than 4 years later. Zsa Zsa picked up a marriage certificate in Santa Monica on March 4, 1966, barely a day after divorcing Hunter, and told reporters that she met the groom, Joshua S. Cosden Jr., 6 weeks earlier at a party. Cosden was a petroleum executive in Dallas, and his marriage to Zsa Zsa terminated in divorce a year after they spoke their vows. Never let a man be too sure of you, Gabor advised in a June 1966 book's interview with the New York Times titled How to Catch a Man, this is uninteresting to him. Sanders, Zsa Zsa's third husband, was discovered dead in Spain on April 24th, 1972 after taking his own life. She expressed her grief and described him as the main love of her life after learning of his death. In addition, on January 22nd, 1975 in Las Vegas, the former Miss Hungary married her sixth spouse, rich industrialist Jack Ryan. Zsa Zsa married Beverly Hills attorney Michael O'Hara in the Las Vegas Hilton bridal suite barely 3 days after divorcing Ryan in August 1976. O'Hara married for the fourth time. April 1982, she married Felipe de Alba aboard a yacht off the coast of Puerto Vallarta. Even so, because her divorce from O'Hara had not yet been formalized, the union was ruled unlawful. As a result, Zsa Zsa canceled her wedding to de Alba, which was set to take place in July. The superstar of the golden age of Hollywood, speaking about her relationship with him at the time, said, "He irritated me. I'm a hardworking actor, and he's a playboy." On July 28th, 1986, she proclaimed her intention to marry again, and she did so from then on. She married Prince Frederick of Anhalt. The pair met at a party in LA in October 1982. Before leaving the event in March 2018, von Anhalt informed The Hollywood Reporter about their first encounter. "We conversed in German about our fondness for Munich. I told you I had another engagement," I said. He said that she inquired about his whereabouts and invited him to visit her Bel Air estate the next day. After 4 years of dating, they married, so that's good. At least this time she actually dated someone for several years, considering a lot of her other marriages almost were overlapping. Zsa Zsa grew critically ill in the early 2000s, and on December 18th, 2016, she died of a heart attack at the age of 99. When von Anhalt was 74. Zsa Zsa and her husband had been married for 29 years when she died, making it the longest marriage she had ever had and longer than any other marriages combined. In April 2018, more than a year after her death, the German-American businessman organized an estate sale of all her things. Her substantial Chanel and Valentino clothes, as well as her Steinway piano, which her former husband Sanders had painted gold, were among Zsa Zsa's possessions. I found it interesting to find out. I always knew that Elizabeth Taylor was married a lot, but I didn't realize she was married 8 times, which is crazy. Zsa Zsa was married 9 times. And let me know if you want me to cover any other old Hollywood actors or actresses' marriages. Thank you for watching, and comment below if you have any favorite husband of the two that you think they should have stayed together, or you thought that was a good match. I'm always curious. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.